All right, guys. All right, guys, I'm back. Went upstairs, got some breakfast. Did that whole thing. Um, Pretty fucking cold in the basement. In fact, it's going to be kind of nice the next few days here. Um, so it makes it even colder. All right, so what we have is we played Resident Evil 4 Village. No, Jesus Christ, in Italy. Resident Evil 4 Remake, and I got a B. I got a B, which means I suck. Okay. But that's fine, right? I enjoyed it. I enjoyed making the content. It's a little different when you're playing the game and then, I'm playing the game for YouTube's, right? So if I'm playing the game for you guys, there's more commentary and input from me during fighting and battles and stuff where I might not normally be talking to myself, even though I do talk to myself quite a bit when I'm playing games. But anyway, we only killed Ashley. We only shot her once. That's pretty good. Shot her right in the head, though. I mean, it was a no doubter, right? We only did one of those, which is good. My accuracy wasn't too good, but that's okay. So what I think of, I like this game. I think it was well worth the $60 I paid for it. I think it was $60. I don't remember. I probably would and will play this maybe 5 times through. I'd like to platinum the game, although some of them are a little, I would consider, the trophies are kind of unattainable. Not really unattainable. You can obviously get them, but I don't like. Sometimes when I look at the games and I want to platinum something, I see after I go through it one time, I see what I need to do, and sometimes it involves things that I'm really not interested in doing. So in those games, I generally don't platinum it. So for instance, in Dark Souls 3, you had to get a certain weapon, I think, from one of the factions. And in order to get that weapon, you had to kill a certain number of PvP enemies, right? And then get. I can't remember exactly. That doesn't really do anything for me. The PvP in Dark Souls is kind of. I mean, it's not built for that, right? It's not built for any of that kind of stuff, nor am I really that interested in doing that. I mean, a long time ago, I used to play World of Warcraft, and obviously that whole thing is PvP, pretty much. I mean, the only time you ever fight monsters is when you want to level up, right? So that was really fun, but that, you need another life in order to play that game. I mean, I did anyway, because it takes over your life. You want to play it all the time. And then you don't have time for life. So, because it's really, really fun, it's really fun. But I'm not really interested in doing a game that was written mainly for single player, and then FromSoft does a great job doing that, though, like trying to balance it for player versus player. Okay, that isn't really, I think, the strong part of their games. I think their strong part of the game is their level structure, their tight combat, and the really brilliant way that they design levels, design even in Elden Ring where it was open world, more open worldy. If you want, you can go off and do whatever you want. There's so much shit to find. There's so much stuff. There's so much cool stuff off the beaten path. I do think sometimes when you're going off the beaten path in a game like that, or even in like a Zelda game, there's not enough loot that is relevant to what you're trying to do in the game. Okay, so if you remember when we played What was the game that we played? Sekiro. When we were playing Sekiro, we would get this loot that I can't remember the name of it. You would throw it to distract an enemy, right? And it would it'd be like a piece of glass or something, or a little vase or whatever the fuck it was called. And you'd throw it and it'd make a splash sound, and the enemy would go over and see what that was, Okay, great. And then he could sneak up and kill it. Well, later on in the game, and you're still picking up ceramic shards, ceramic something. Anyway, later on in the game, when you're still picking that up, I mean, you already got like 200 of them, if you didn't sell them for souls or whatever in the game. So Sen, so that isn't that great. So if you're gonna make an open world game and you go off the beaten path, because it's fun, right? Because sometimes when you're fighting the bosses in a linear game, especially in a FromSoft game, you could be at that boss for like days, right? Depending on how how pissed off you get for dying, over and over and over again at some of the bosses, until you recognize what you need to do to win, stepwise, incrementally, maybe all at once. I don't know, maybe all at once. So, so when you go off the beaten path in Elden Ring, and you go and you spend a lot of time mowing through enemies, and you pass levels, that's great. And then, you see some shinies in the distance. You go grab those shinies, and they're nothing. You have to be careful, though, because, if you start getting really important items in the middle of nowhere, well, that's not going to balance very well, will it? But you got to think of something. So I think they did really well with putting those jails all over in the game. Anyway, we're supposed to be talking about this game. I got a B, which is not great. I think the last time I went through it, I got an A. I never got an S. I think I played through it maybe 3 times. This is the 3rd time. Maybe 4. I'm not quite sure. Probably 3. So I like this game. I think the replayability is great. The bosses, they're not very engaging, but they're pretty quick, especially if you're upgrading your weapons and now you're kind of overpowered. I mean, it's just the way it is. If I'm able to switch to a Magnum and like 3-shot a boss, I mean, and that's without the like ultimate perk of, whatever it is, 2 times the damage. But just the weapon itself has 28 damage, like, and its little number. And then, your handgun's like 5. So that'll give you an idea about how much more powerful that is. And your shotgun's like 8 or 9. That should be the most powerful weapon. You should not be able to get a Magnum that does 25 or 24 or whatever it was. I mean, you can get a Magnum. Maybe the Magnum does 15. Something like that. More than your shotgun, right? All right. The wife's heading to the farm, pick up some fresh eggs and some nice meats and stuff so we can grill later. Anyway, so bosses in this game, kind of lame. I mean, I think one of the I thought it was really well done when those bosses, I think they're Gyarados that can't see. Okay, so I thought there was a mistake there, or maybe it was a bug, I don't know, but if you stand still and don't move, he'll still find you. So I demonstrated that in that episode. If you move around in a crouch position, stealthing around, right, you're fine. But if you remain stealth and you're crouching in one spot, they find you. How does that happen? And the music, the music's like makes this bong sound like you've been found, sort of thing. And I'm like, how does that? How? He can't see me. I'm not touching anything. I'm not doing anything. So Other than that, I thought I like those. The first dude a lot. When it's a single, I also thought the fight with the double one was cool, especially with all the enemies and how you can use those Gyarados to kill all the enemies if you wanted to, and we did that. Or you could just kill the Gyarados outright and then deal with the enemies. You can do it any way you want to. Make a lot of noise, throw a lot of grenades around. One thing I liked about this game compared to some of the other ones, um, and it's just a different way of doing it, right? Is they gave you a lot of ammo in this. You have a lot of ammo. You have a lot of healing items. I would imagine if I up the difficulty, some of that stuff would go away, but that's okay. I think the game isn't playing it on this level isn't necessarily about I think it's a balance between story and action, story and gameplay. I don't know what you want to call that, right? Maybe a little more gameplay, a little less story. But there's also all of the people who play Resident Evil 1, 2, 3, who know who this Wesker guy is, and who knows who Ada is, and it knows why Leon says bingo at that one scene or something. I don't really know anything. There's the dog thing where the dog helps you in that fight against the L giant dude. L whatever. The big troll guy. The dog helps you because you freed the dog. That's cool. But when I was watching like John Wolfe play through this, and he's a big, he loves to play horror games. I mean, they're all over his channel. It's like his main thing, right? And it was really interesting watching his playthrough because he has so much background with Resident Evil, and I don't. So, and so did Gab Smolders, but it was sort of like, when they're going through the game and they're like, well, I really hope this, this is in the game, or how are they going to be doing this because the original game had that, and then this happened in Resident Evil 2 or 3 or something. And I'm like, I don't have that background. But so that goes along with the story part. So the story part might actually be stronger for some because they've played the series through. They've dealt with the bad graphics and all that bullshit in Resident Evil 3. And I don't even know how many Resident Evils are made between 1, 2, and 3. There's like a whole bunch of other shit that happens in there. And part of that might be part of the storyline too, part of the plot line. So the story in Resident Evil could mean more to people than it did to me. Okay. I thought the story was good. It was very corny. I mean, their comments are very corny. And I don't know how many times Ashley got abducted. I mean, come on. Give her a gun. Can I give her a gun? I think looking at I did look at a few YouTubes where they compared the graphics from the original to this, and obviously this is really nice. And I think from what I read anyway, they made a lot of really nice quality improvements, quality of life improvements, whatever they're called. Just made the game flow better overall and not be so choppy and robotic. I don't know if that makes any sense to you guys or not, but so our total playtime was 23 hours. That's pretty fair for me because I like to go through things pretty slow. I think it was more than that the first time I went through it, definitely. But it's a little different when you're playing the game on YouTube and you kind of want to you don't want to be too hesitant, right? But so we're going to be playing a game I've never played before. Next, we're going to be playing Armored Core, and I have never played any of the Armored Cores, and I guess there's 5 other ones because this is number 6, right? But it's a FromSoft game, so I'm playing it. We're playing it together on this channel. All right, so I liked the Gyarados. I thought the Salazar fight was kind of dumb. No, I thought the Salazar fight was pretty good. I just couldn't watch the dialogue. So there's so much dialogue in that fight. he's talking to me, I'm talking to him, you know, and then, but he could one shot you, so I can't really pay attention to what he's saying, and I can't hear that well. So I don't hear the dialogue very well. Plus, I have it turned down for you guys. So I have to look at the subtitles. But if I'm looking at the subtitles, I'm not looking at what's happening when he's about to kill me. So the Salazar fight was okay. The end boss, Sadler, that was an okay fight. Probably the best fight with that was the Hauser fight with knives. That's probably so in Bloodborne, probably my favorite fight is Father Gascoigne and Lady Maria. Those are probably my favorite fights in the game, and I've like you guys know, I mean, if you watch the Bloodborne playthrough, I've played Bloodborne 700 hours, so that's like 35 days of my life I've played Bloodborne. It does sound kind of sick, right? Anyway, but that's because those two bosses were more like me, more seemed to have more of a AI, seemed to have more of a of something where you need to recognize more of a pattern, more of a things. I don't know why. I don't know. To be perfectly honest, that's not a very that's not a very good argument on my part. I'm not really explaining it very well, but in this game, I like the Hauser fight with the knives. If I'm able to pull out a gun and I'm able to shoot him, and then that makes the fight kind of trivial, right? Which is what happened the second time. I just shot him a few times. I might have even shot him a couple of times with a Magnum. I mean, that's it, right? You shoot him a couple of times with a Magnum, and it's game over for him. So, yeah, I did, because when he changed into his second form or whatever, and as soon as he stopped covering his face with his wing or his appendage or whatever it is, I just shot him a couple times and he died. Because the Magnum is just too powerful. So really, if you're going through this game for the first time, I kind of stay away from those weapons. I mean, when I went through this game the first time, I stayed away from the Magnum. I got it. I never used it. Because your weapon says you max out your red 5 or red 9 or whatever the fuck it's called, and it's like damage is 8 or 5 or 6 or something like that, a single digit. And then you get a shotgun and you max that out at like 10, and then you get this Magnum and it's like 20 something. Like 2 shotgun blasts to the face is 1 shot with this gun. See, and then you have to also consider, if it's a shotgun, you need to be up close, right? Kind of close. The Magnum, you don't. So I would stay away from the Magnum probably the whole game. It depends on what you're looking for. If you're just looking for story, mainly, it'll get you through the fights. The fights aren't really terribly difficult. I don't think any of the bosses were hard. Let's see, what else can I say about this? I don't know. I'll probably play through it one more time off stream, off recording, whatever, off the YouTubes, my own time. But we have a bunch of games to play, new games coming out. We have Armored Core 6, and we have Remnant 2 I wanted to play, and we have the Xbox One, what's that called? Starfield? We're going to play Starfield. I already bought all that shit, so we're going to play that. So I don't know. I might not get to this anytime soon. So what do you guys think of the bosses in this game? Do you think they're too easy like I do? They're kind of easy, right? I mean, I entered the game with my rifle and like 30 ammo, right? A lot of ammo. A lot of ammo. I love the rifle. I think that's a great weapon for the game. I love how it's slow and you have to pick your. I also like the those dudes who were invincible unless you shot their little parasites in them. I thought that was really cool. Um, so there were a lot of things. I thought the bugs were dumb. I thought the stealth of the bugs were cool, but I thought the bugs were dumb. Not dumb, but I just didn't really think that that was a very good. I didn't think that was that great. I also heard that there are bosses missing, and there are enemies missing. So I don't know how those would be. This game wasn't as tense as a Village or Biohazard. So what does that say? That it was more of a story type game for me, maybe. This one just wasn't that tense. I mean, I never really felt like I was gonna die, like if I didn't make the right move, right? Except in the Hauser. What was his name? Krauser? I keep calling him Doogie Howser. The Krauser fight with the knives, because you had to make the right moves in order, otherwise you'd get stabbed and die. But all the other bosses, I didn't really get a sense of like urgency that much. I mean, one of the bosses where they had all the mobs and stuff, yeah, but not really any of the bosses were really putting me out. I think what probably needed to happen was there need to be some kind of loss when you die, because I died a few times, right? And I didn't really care. But anyway, overall, I would probably give this a B. I think it was a great game. I didn't think it was perfect, but it satisfied my like little Resident Evil itch, I guess you could say. So it was probably the best game I have ever played that was a remake. But I've never played the original. So just hearing from people playing the original and then me playing this one, I thought the game flowed well. I thought the graphics were good, other than that one really choppy part, and at the end boss. But it was a good game. I'd give it a B. I'd play through it a few more times. But for $60, it's well worth it. Well worth it. If you take into consideration how many hours that is of your life that you're putting into the game of enjoyment. You know, that whole conversation we had before about, you know, is Bloodborne worth buying at $60 when you play through it 34 days of your life? Oh my god. Right? Oh my god. You know how many controllers I broke in Bloodborne the first time? Like, snap them. It's so pissed that you're at the same fucking boss for 2 days. You're not learning because you've been fighting him so many times in a row that you just see red. Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys, for watching. Please subscribe. We are going to be starting Armored Core. And in a few days, they're going to release the next Telltale series for Expanse, and we're going to throw that in there a little bit too. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe. We'll see you soon.